The North by Landscaper Oleg. The man sat up, having been roused by the creeping chill. The storm had rolled through unusually early this season. Now the effort made by the fire was becoming unsustainable, and the cold would only get worse. He got up and raked the coals, then put 2 logs into the fire. When he was satisfied with the fireplace, he got on his boots and heavy winter coat, and grabbing his work gloves and axe, he headed outside. It was a bright winter's morning with the fresh snow creating a vivid contrast to the radiant blue sky. The air was much cleaner up here compared to his memories of the hazy sky when he lived in the city. He walked over to the woodshed adjacent the house and checked on the cords of wood he had stacked. Then grabbing a broom and a sled, he followed the path into the forest. Earlier in the season, he had chainsawed logs of wood into sections of 16 inches or so long. These he would split with the axe, then sled them over to the woodshed and stack them. He used the broom to brush off the new snow and get to work on splitting the logs. His axe gleamed in the morning sun. It was a point of pride that he kept his tools in good shape. As he worked, the repeated motion of setting, then splitting became a kind of moving meditation, and echoes of the past came rushing up to greet him. He was again living his old life as a writer in New York. 6 years ago, he was a clean-cut journalist and a nighttime fiction writer with bright eyes and a sharp wit. There was a relationship and his severe case of writer's block and the pressure to deliver more and ever-tightening deadlines at work, and his sanity just could not cope with the weight of it all. Then, when it all collapsed and he had nothing left to hold on, he made his way up north. Now he saw it and marveled they had managed to keep everything going for as long as he did. He thought back to his childhood, about reading to build a fire for the first time, and how it scared the wits out of him. Yet here he was living up north and trying to maintain a fire. What irony, he chuckled to himself and coughed. He sat down on a log and felt the sweat on his back. The sweat was normal, but the cough was new. He kept thinking about New York. He longed to be back and have it all again, but knew it was impossible. The life up north had hardened him to discomfort and dulled his finer abilities. He now had more in common with people roughing it out on the streets of the city than his old friends. Compared to who he was before, he was now a failure. His mind then wandered to his formal education. If science taught me that every part of my life is as current and real as any other part, he wondered, then perhaps I'm like a book. And if my life is like the pages of a book, he thought again, and I don't like where the book has ended up, then maybe it's time to end writing the book, so that the best part of my life can continue to shine forever uncorrupted by what came after. The sweat down his back had gotten cold. Maybe I just keep sitting here and fade to white like a last empty page, the thought flickered. Then he got up and continued working. It's not that he disagreed with his earlier thoughts, it just didn't seem manly for him to do something like that. He wasn't going to intentionally freeze to death over a philosophical quandary. Later that night, as he sat staring into the fireplace, an idea gradually began to take shape until it crystallized in his mind's eye. The truth worth living for. And to give it life, he spoke it aloud. It came out husky due to his lack of doing much talking these days, but the words carried the force of fire and steel. I am not the writer I was, he said. This man that I once was had died as my old life fell apart. I am new life born from the embers of the old. So here today, I bury the corpse of the past and will create new ideals to strive for. Finally, he understood what he'd come up north for.